And so thank you so much for sharing your journey with others. And that's the whole point of Healthful Stories, is to share our stories and hopefully give folks the tools and the information and the motivation and the example that you provide. So thank you so much.
Hey, no problem, man. I'm glad to do it. If somebody can watch this and know that it's possible and get inspired, that's cool. I like it.
When did you realize that there was a health issue that you needed to take care of?
Well, I'd been having some like leg and foot problems, some pain that had been a bit chronic, I guess. I'll be honest, until October, I hadn't seen a doctor in 20 years. I don't like doctors. I don't like getting shots. It's a whole thing. And we didn't have good insurance for a very long time. Like I was taking 3 like extra strength Advil PMs every night just to sleep because
Wow.
my feet were, and my feet still have a lot of pain. Apparently that's what's called diabetic neuropathy,
Okay.
which is not a thing I'd ever heard of. But when I described the pain to the doctor, she goes, "Oh yeah, that could be, diabetes." I'm not diabetic. What are you talking about?
Sure.
Of course, I haven't taken blood sugar in 20 years, so how did I know, right?
And how long would you say you had that pain in your foot?
Probably 10 years.
Wow. So likely you had diabetes from 10 years ago, and finally decided to see a doctor. And when you saw your primary care physician, is that who you saw first?
Yeah, I finally found one that was accepting patients that seemed like someone I could get along with. So
Understood. And so so you mentioned that your doctor took your A1C. Do you remember what your A1C was at the time?
10.3.
10.3. And did the doctor mention if that was a severe case at all?
She was very concerned. Actually, the same day that I had that doctor's,
Okay.
and it only gets worse from there. And I was 10.3. So she was very concerned. And I was telling her, like, I'm not even in town anymore. I won't be back in town until tomorrow morning. She's like, severe phobia, like I have to get a Mantoux, the TB test where they do the little injection right under your skin.
Mhm.
I have to every year for work, and the nurse at my old job used to just carve out an hour of time out of her day. Like, this is when we're doing Josh's shot because it's going to be ridiculous and he's going to cry. I can't. I don't do blood draws well. I don't do any kind of thing with a needle. I freak out, absolutely panic. At the end of the day, the best thing is that I did get it diagnosed, and now we can start treating it, because before that day, I would have just gone untreated longer, which is negative, I guess.
Yeah. And thankfully you might never know what that would be like, is to go another 10 years. Sure.
So she gave me some metformin and a drug called Soliqua. That is like part insulin and part some GBPA inhibitor thing. I'm probably getting those initials wrong. But the idea is it not only helps control your blood sugar, but then that inhibitor thing cuts down on your cravings or cuts down on your hunger. Or I don't understand exactly how it works because I am no biologist or chemist. But it essentially makes it, and part of it is if you eat a whole bunch of really terrible, greasy, fatty, sugary stuff, it'll make you sick to your stomach.
Sure. So how long were you on the shots? And it sounds like you've managed to come off them. So how did that go?
Well, I took shots. I took 102 shots.
Oh,
Believe
you
me,
counted. You counted.
Oh man, because well, part of that was mentally keeping track in my head, because you're not supposed to inject yourself at the same spot every day.
Oh, okay.
So I would do like, okay, this is an odd day, so it goes on this side. This is an even day, so it goes on this side. Then that helped me keep track. Plus, I kind of became obsessed with the shots, like not in a good way. In no way was this a healthy thing that I was doing. But in my brain, I had to know. how many shots I'm doing, how many shots I've taken. I knew when my appointment was, and I knew that if everything went well, that I might be able to get off the shots, and I would only have to do 102. So, at day 51, I was like, we're halfway there. And I was able to kind of celebrate to myself that, like, if we can do this, we can be halfway done today. And I honestly didn't think it was going to stop at 102. Whenever I cut all that out, I was like, oh, I still have a whole lot of carbs in my diet. Like, you don't think about the fact that carbs are kind of the deliciousness delivery system that we've created in our society. I've made a lot of I make really careful choices about what I eat. I'm learning to love cauliflower rice, usually with spicy stuff in it, because the spice covers up the fact that I'm eating cauliflower, which is gross to me. But yeah, a lot of lifestyle changes as far as what I eat. I've started exercising a little more than I had been. I was already doing some exercise. It's how I lost the original 130 pounds, but more and eating much more carefully. I haven't had a soda now in 3 months.
Great.
I used to really be, I had to have a Coke. If you don't have a Coke, you're not really living. Come on now. Yeah. And chicken is just pure protein, and hot sauce doesn't have sugar, so it's like, oh, I can have hot wings all day. This is great. There is one wing place here in town that delivers that apparently puts a bunch of sugar in their hot sauce.
So now that you are under control, right? Is the foot pain gone? Are you able to live? How do you feel about your day to day?
My day to day is a lot better than it was. The foot pain is not gone completely. It is probably better than it used to be. There are still nights where I have a hard time sleeping. I actually just recently, I'm on a diabetic subreddit. I think that's actually where you found my story originally. And there are some people on there that have tried these things called nano socks, which I'm not here to advertise, but I ordered some of those because some people had said they helped with the foot pain. They're like compression socks that do whatever that is. I do not understand it, but it seems to work. I got them, I mail ordered them. They showed up late last week. And I've been wearing them, and like last night, I slept through the night without taking any Advil PM. I didn't have any foot pain last night, so that could be entirely a placebo effect, where in my brain, like, this should work, so it is.
Sure.
I have no idea. I am off the shots now, which is great. My A1C was actually 5.3 when they took it again, which my doctor goes, we could take my A1C right now. It probably wouldn't be that good. But I still am being very careful with my diet. My kids were like, you're off the shots. We can have pizza. And I was like, you can have pizza. I will have wings.
There you go.
I'm not trying to go back. I work, my career, I work with individuals with disabilities. I make sure they have the services they need and the state will pay for them. And I kind of go out and work with people. I've worked in that field in some capacity for almost 20 years. And there's a gentleman that I work with in that capacity. When I first met him 20 years ago, he was a little over 500 pounds. Very diabetic, on insulin, on all kinds of medications. I used to have to give him his medications. So it was a lot. I still work with him today in a different capacity. I fill a different role on his team now, but I still work with him today. He's about 200 pounds today. He's lost almost 300 pounds. Or he's lost over 300 pounds total. He no longer takes any medication for diabetes. He's off his insulin shots. He's off all the other medications. He has made incredible lifestyle changes and gotten to this point. And actually, the day that I stopped taking shots, I called him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because I had been told by so many people, that even on the diabetic subreddit thing, I'd been told by a whole lot of people, once you start taking the insulin, you'll never stop. There is no off ramp to that. And I said, I know a person who's done it. And if he can do it, I can. I called him and I said, dude, you don't know how much you inspired me and how much you helped me, because I would not have been able to do this had it not been for you and for your story making me believe that it was possible.
And now, I'm sure things with the family is great. You got the kids. They're going to be able to spend more quality time with you for sure in a healthier state. I'm sure it's transformative.
Nice. My mother, like I said, has diabetes and takes the shots. their grandmother on their mom's side has diabetes. She doesn't have to take shots, but she's diabetic as well. So kind of trying to instill in my kids, like, listen, you have a pretty lengthy family history with diabetes. Let's make better choices than dad made, because I spent 40 years abusing my body. Don't do that, because I would love for my kids not to have to deal with this. Kind of sucks.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and thank goodness that you were able to come through and be in a great spot. Josh, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your journey. Exactly as the person you had worked with inspired you, I am confident that your story will inspire others to take their health into their own hands, to get that diagnosis right away, and to do the things necessary to get off of those shots. And you've proven it's possible. And so thank you so much for sharing your journey with others. And that's the whole point of Healthful Stories.